Patrick Findaro here, co-founder at Vetted Biz. Excited to have on Grégoire Jacquet. He has a very interesting concept that he started franchising recently, 20 plus years working at some of the best restaurants in the world, as well as with top hospitality brands like Ritz-Carlton. I'm going to turn it right to Grégoire, though. Thanks for joining, Grégoire, and maybe tell us a little bit about your background and how you decided to franchise your concept.
Yes, thanks, Patrick, and thank you for having me here on your podcast. So I'm Grégoire Jacquet, and I'm the founder of Grégoire Restaurant. It's a restaurant we created about 20 years ago. It's let's say it's a fine, fast, casual concept where we use quality ingredients. And we cook it, and prepare it, and put it all in a box, and it's all takeout concept. So
very cool.
My journey in the food business started when I was 14 years old in France. I started in school, and did 3 years as a apprentice and got my degree. Then I worked for a bunch of restaurants in Courchevel, France, and also in Paris. Moved to the US when I was 19 with a bag, a duffel bag. Yeah. And I started working for Jacques Robert, a French master chef, for 5 years, and then another 7 years for the Ritz-Carlton, when my wife and I decided to create our family and started to come back to Berkeley, where she's from, and open Grégoire. And that was in 2002.
Was it tough leaving Courchevel as like an 18-year-old? Because, I mean, leaving the French Alps, especially that resort, that's a fun place to be.
Well, yes, 18 years old, it's party town. I mean, really, I quit that job because I was so much into partying that I just couldn't do both.
Party work, party work, party work.
Yes, I couldn't do both. So I had to leave. I really had to leave, and it was too much party life.
And tell me about your journey, because I feel like your concept makes a lot of sense. And my wife's French. I've spent a lot of time in Europe. We go to France, I don't know, 3-4 times a year. And I get the quality of food is on a whole far superior to the US, even at more casual restaurants there. I appreciate it. But before I started spending time there and had my wife kind of explain what went into the sourcing the produce, what went into cooking, there was a big educational hurdle, I guess, for me to really appreciate the food. And yes. I can imagine like a place like Berkeley, it's super high level education. Probably Americans are easier to wrap their head around it. But what are some of the initiatives that you're doing to kind of educate the American consumer? Hey, you've got to give us a try. Like, this is going to be better for you. You're going to really enjoy it.
For me, it started when I was a kid. You know, my mom and my dad were not very wealthy. And so we used a lot of garden ingredients and the farming ingredients. So for me, it's a way of living. You know, it's just I need the right ingredients. I need good food. And growing up all my life, this was my main goal. Now, yes, I work in fine dining, and I work in, you know, most of very high-end places in the world. But when I came back to Berkeley and I brainstormed to find out what kind of business I wanted to do, it was no choice in my head. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I wanted something where the food was fantastic, something where all the ingredients were sourced out of local farmers as much as possible. At the beginning, it was easy because I didn't have so many customers, but
you're not doing as many checks. Yeah,
I know. And the other part was the takeout part. I wanted the food to be available for everyone, and I didn't want to have a big dining room just because I wanted to be the face of the party. You know, I wanted to be the one receiving the customers, talking to the customers, explaining the food and the provenance of the food, and that's where really it started. You know, like I wanted them to love the food as much as I love the food.
You've adapted to the American consumer in that sense, because I haven't heard of any kind of concept like yours in France, and I've been all over the country, where it's just a different style and people aren't on the go. They want to sit down, but Americans, they'll pay for good quality food, but they got other stuff going on. So they can take it out or they use a delivery service.
Yeah. When 20 years ago, when I started takeout, with the style of food that I was doing, people thought I was not going to make it. I mean, many people would walk in front and ask me, what are you doing? Well, I hand takeout. It's like, yeah, I'm taking restaurant food and I put it in a box. It's like, oh, this is crazy. People, they want to sit down. People, they want to eat, on the tablecloth. And I say, no, they want to eat good food, but I own everyone's dining room, so they can go to the dining room and the food is going to be great.
Yeah, I love it. And I think a lot of trends in the Bay Area, especially, are way ahead of their curve. And I'm sure like you 20 years back, it was just ahead of your curve. I had someone else on our podcast where the trading closet company and it's secondhand luxury goods. And she's from the Bay Area and it was a thing in the Bay Area, but it took 20 years for kind of mass adoption on the coast of the US. And maybe it's going to take another 10 years to kind of move into the interior of the US.
Well, all the card needed to be right when I opened Grégoire. And one of the main component was the box, the takeout box. Because 20 years ago, it was nothing. I mean, I could not take great food and put it in some flimsy clamshell, plastic, or styrofoam container. So I had to come up with a box. And we did. And the food goes in the box and it stays hot for 20, 30 minutes. It's pretty genius.
And is this a wooden box or what's the material?
And now it's a cardboard box. It looks like a stop sign. So, and it's branded. So you have a lot of color and a lot of logos. So people know it's Grégoire box. There's no box around like this because I own the cutter, I own the design. And
what's a ticket size? Someone wants to have a takeout for lunch.
Dishes vary from, we have desserts at $6 and we have the potatoes. They are about $7.80 and sandwich up to $16. We use lamb. Okay. We use like good cut of beefs and you can have a salad too, and that's a bit more expensive. We're putting good ingredients in the salad as well. So,
and who's kind of like your target market? Is it people like young urban professionals, families? Who's like your ideal client and who appreciates the food and the service that you guys provide?
So when I opened Grégoire, my main goal was to target everybody. I wanted to target the neighbors. I wanted to target the retail store goers, which I'm off the beat, so I don't really I'm not in the middle of all it. So customers from retail come. I have old people, young people. I have students. We're not too far from UC Berkeley, so right. We have a lot of crowd. Lots of catering with UC Berkeley. The restaurant is about 1,000 square foot, and we do party up to 600 often and easy. Well organized. It goes out really well. So I target everybody and even babies because babies get addicted to my potato puff. So there you go.
Well, you got to open up in Miami.
Yes.
Get a franchisee here.
It's in the pipeline.
Because I think Miami, people are pretty price inelastic, where people are used to spending a lot of money on lunch, and the kind of the prices you went, most people wouldn't flinch at here.
So you talk about pricing, but the good thing about the model we've created, it's going to be really flexible into what ingredients you can use into the market that you're open on. So, okay, this is the whole concept. Yeah.
Break it down.
Grégoire is a little different than just because of the food quality. We need a lot of control. And the way we set it up is that every time we open a market, just like right now we open the Bay Area, we'll open a culinary hub, basically a kitchen, commissary kitchen. And we will do the preparation of all the food. We will do all the control, portioning, sauces, everything that.
When you say we, is that the franchisor or the franchisee that's running that commissary kitchen?
The franchisor. Okay. So we will be in charge of all the preparation. Then the franchisee will be in charge of finishing the product at the franchise level, delivering the product to the customers. So at the end of the night, they put in an order for the next day. The next day we provide the ingredients and they finish the ingredients. So it's a very, it's a very straightforward model. They don't have to cook anything.
They focus on probably retaining employees, training employees, customer service.
Yes. So that's why basically, and we call them community partners, just because they're really on the front end of the community, and they will be, talking about the customers, making sure the customer is happy. They don't need to cook much. They just need to put things together, finish up product, and then make sure it's delivered right. That's all.
I like it. I'm sure you've maybe studied or at least drawn inspiration from some brands like Chipotle, Sweet Green, where they are pretty tight on the supply chain, probably not as tight as you. But that was a big reason why they didn't franchise, because they wanted that control to give the best product to the end customer. And I know Sweet Green has been approached a lot of times with franchise, Chipotle, but a lot of the goodwill that they've built with those brands and why people go to those brands is because they know the quality of the produce is much better than a lot of other comparable restaurants that are franchise restaurants.
So and on that I want to make 2 points, because what's important, Patrick, is when you open a market, you can utilize the product that are in that market. So let's say we open in Louisiana and they have fantastic shrimp. We can make a sandwich with the shrimp from Louisiana for a fair price. So we can adapt our prices. The menu in Louisiana will be very different from the menu in the area. The flavor and the taste in different area in the areas are different. So you can really adapt on pricing. You can change pretty quickly, everything, pricing as well as a sandwich someone doesn't like, let's move it out, So that's number one. Number two, when it comes to community, when I opened Grégoire, I wanted to be the face of the restaurant. See, I wanted to be knowing my customers. I wanted it to be really a neighborhood restaurant.
And getting that feedback on the customer service, the product, it's important.
And that's why I'm looking at franchising, just because, I thought about, building my own business and my own empire, but I think the franchisee knows his community. See, I don't know anybody in Arkansas. If I open in Arkansas, as a corporate, I'm going to find a manager that maybe knows, maybe doesn't. But if I have a franchisee that knows their market, that knows how to place themselves, and that knows their customers, for me, this is really what I care about. Somebody
they're going to be all in. They're committed. There's a reason why the most successful franchise systems I've studied, it's more of a model like yours, where it's the franchisor is doing kind of above and beyond, and then the franchisee has real ownership, or it's like almost like an employee model like Chick-fil-A or Raising Cane's. If the owner, the franchisee, that operator, if there's not a good potential for them to make a lot of money and they don't have the full buy-in, a manager could just walk away at any point. So I guess what I'm saying is there's a fine line in how you structure it, but it's got to be a win-win for everyone.
Yes. No. So that's how how we plan to do our growth.
And tell me, out of the Bay Area, that commissary kitchen you currently have, how many restaurant outlets do you currently have, and how many could that one kitchen sustain in the Bay Area?
So right now we're looking for number one, and believe me, it's not something I take lightly. So I want that somebody to be an extension of me, basically. It's tough. I want to make sure. But so
definitely, because you're going to be married to this person for like 10 years.
My God, and my wife too.
Exactly.
They have to go through my wife. She's a tough one. She needs to like them. But we plan to be about 30 restaurants in the Bay Area.
Solid.
So every franchise we open will be at least 2 hours, a maximum of 2 hours from the hub. Okay.
How much is it going to cost for someone to open up in the Bay Area?
So the price tag we look at is about $288,000 to open basic Grégoire, up to $410,000. Now we have a structure in this $288,000 where there is a $50,000 deposit for the culinary hub. Okay. This deposit is going to come back to you at 10% increment on every invoices until it's replenished.
Interesting.
So yes, this is to offset the cost of the ingredients and the product that comes when you start the franchise at the Culinary Hub.
And are you most focused on securing these franchisees in the Bay Area, then going to another market, whether it's Arkansas or Louisiana, elsewhere in the U.S.?
Right now, we want to make sure that the model works perfectly in the Bay Area, and we'll get 5 or 6, and then we'll see how we will scale it up to probably the Los Angeles area first.
That makes sense.
And then other market, maybe Texas, maybe Florida, New York.
From what I've seen, talking to other founders of franchise systems, like getting that second, third, fourth franchisee, a lot of times it comes from someone they know. So that whether that's a customer or a friend or someone that's already familiar with the brand. What are you doing right now to let these customers from the past 20 years know that, hey, this is a business opportunity, you could open up your own Grégoire?
So for the last year, we've been really organic. I want to make sure. I mean, of course, I have a marketing team that work with me and content and website and lead generation, but we don't pay per click. We don't do anything that is really. We just do organic right now. Like I say, I want to make sure I am ready, to support those franchisee before we even get one. So what we do is at the restaurant level, we have a promotion where if a customer find the next franchisee, they will get $10,000 from us.
So you're letting the customers know, hey, we want a franchise. We'll incentivize you.
Yes. So we also have a mailing list of 35,000 people, over 20 years. So we email regularly and, stuff that's going on with the restaurant and the franchise. But as you know, it takes a long time for people to decide themselves,
Exactly. As it should. I saw one franchise that was setting up like an affiliate marketing, kind of like what you propose to your customers, but that the person needs to sign within 30 days to get paid. And I'm like, people don't make a decision in 30 days.
No.
So it's kind of disingenuous saying like, hey, you'll refer someone to invest in this franchise, but they have to sign in 30 days, where I'm sure it's more like 90 to 180 days plus for that system.
For me, I'm more willing to incentivize, my customers or my employees than anything else. So if they give me the name and they sign in a year from now or 2 years from now, for me, they'll get the money. If we sign a second location with them, I'll give them another $10,000 just because, it's without them, without the customer, I could not have gotten those leads. So
were you approached by someone to franchise your concept, or did you come up with it where I've had this restaurant for 20 years, it's going well, and then you kind of came up with the idea of the commissary kitchen model and opening these 30 locations? Well,
when I opened Grégoire, I always thought that it would be very duplicable. And I did open another one in Oakland in 2004, and we ran it for 11 years. But I was young and crazy, and I kind of wanted to do everything. Was not that savvy in business. And it was a lot to do, 2 restaurants and a lot of catering. We were doing 2.5 million in revenue then, and I just burned out. And so I had to let one go because it was all one go or my wife go. So
smart man,
So and since then, it's been really good. I work anymore. I have a team that runs the Grégoire in Berkeley, and I'm just a support. Make sure they know I'm here. And so it's been great. And that's why I can really focus on the franchise and making sure the systems are right.
And are you working, is it with a franchise consultant, franchise attorney? Who's kind of helping you? Do you have someone that's helping you throughout the whole process of franchising?
I want to do everything right, and I want the best of everything, So, I went with iFranchise. I talked to a lot of people. I went through Entrepreneur Magazine and who is the best, who has the most. Yeah. And I talked to all of those people and I finally end up with iFranchise, which helped me really come up with a plan. And it's good because it's a very different plan from any other franchise, just because we have the Culinary Hub and the way we're going to do things. I needed somebody that it's open-minded and that can really see the business the way it should be built. So that was great help.
Yeah,
And
it's not
then
so cookie cutter, but I guess iFranchise, they've worked with, I don't know, 300 plus franchise brands.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they've seen a lot of different models, and it's not just like, oh, here's your playbook for this because you're a restaurant franchise. You're
yeah.
pretty unique in your offering.
The consultant I had, she was really good, and she actually did the business plan from Nothing Bun Cake.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so she was the one that helped them, do their
Oh,
business
it's a
plan and
huge
all.
success.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
For
know.
those that
And
aren't familiar with Nothing But Cake, I mean, it's an amazing business model, average unit volume super high. A lot of franchisees making over $1 million, 20% earning, and it seems like it's kind of like your model that you're marketing, where the franchisees really more focus on customer relationships
yes,
and hiring and training the right people, and
yes.
they're not baking all these cakes. And
That's right. That is so right. I mean, and I can go in depth into how I organize the business in order to make it easier for the franchisee to run the day-to-day operation, because I don't want them to go through what I went when I opened
yeah.
my business. All the nitty-gritty, entering everything in the QuickBooks and scheduling and all this stuff is just, it's a hurdle when you run a business. So I want to make everything really simple, really easy, really fun to operate. So I do have a lawyer, a good one, another another good one. I have a great marketing team. They're not from my franchise or anything like that. I handpicked, who I wanted, so I have my team and people I like to work with, really.
Can you share anything about the financials of your business? I don't know if you're disclosing it in the franchise disclosure document. I guess
Yeah,
sharing as much as you're comfortable with sharing about of how the restaurant makes money.
I should have get in my FDD. I mean, I know some numbers, but I don't want to give some wrong information.
Sure.
But I can tell you that, I mean, I have nothing to hide. I'm a number guy. I love numbers, and you can't make a decision based on something you don't have. I'm always willing to share as much as California wants me to. But we did last 2021, we did 1,350,000.
Solid.
The year before, we did 1,250,000. This year, we're doing really good, better. But the food cost is also a good thing. I love the food cost.
Yeah, what's that look like? So like prime rate, we usually advise vetted biz members and people that go to our website, labor and food should be less than 60%. If you're
Yeah,
at 55%, that's really good.
So I run a 25% labor cost.
Solid.
Year
That's not
over
bad
year.
for California.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's tight. It's small kitchen, so we don't need many people. Everybody makes less step to do anything in the kitchen. So we're much faster. No, it's true. We're much faster than everyone else. And so the labor cost is about 25. And sometimes better. The food cost, it really depends year over year and what type of food we use, because we change the menu quarterly, and that's why we have that model. Because we do change the menu often to keep the interest of the customers. So we do about 22 to 24% food cost.
Solid.
Yeah.
So what's the secret to maintaining such good quality food? Because you have some large brands that their food costs are like 30%. Or like 35%. How do you guys keep it so low and the quality so high?
Because we produce, we cook, we prepare food every day.
Okay.
So there is no spoilage ever. We use super fresh ingredients. We don't buy anything frozen or canned. So that itself is the only thing we do is we buy bread that's from local bakeries. We buy a puff pastry that is frozen, but it's hard to make. So, but it's butter made from a French guy up to Connecticut. So it's a good. I know. No, everything is made in house, so we don't have that high price tag in food. And it's local, so. You can really bargain with your farmer and you just keep an eye on the food, on the price all the time.
And our customers, how is it with inflation? Like are customers okay, like paying a higher price I imagine you made some price changes to your menu over the last year or so?
I have not. I mean, not because of the inflation, just because of the recent inflation. I tried to, I didn't think it was going to last long, and I didn't want to raise the price. So the customer would, it's just a choice. I rather focus on customer retention than pricing the stuff higher. I want more customer coming in the house, less customer not wanting to buy.
That's fair. And with your margins, it seems like you can make that work pretty well. So
the success of the story is that we have software that tell me exactly day to day how much anything costs. So when everything comes to the restaurant, everything is put into the system, invoices and everything, and all the food costs are calculated to the day. So I know exactly how much a sandwich costs. If I see that the price goes up, I talk to my meat vendor, and because the menu changes quarterly, it's easy to just remove something quickly and not have to pay high price. You use different products that are more, available and priced less. So it really is, it's an easy business to run when it comes to pricing.
And how do you manage with sourcing goods that are organic or inorganic?
Well, in the Bay Area, it's easy just because we have a lot of farmer around, and but it's. I'll tell you, it's a way of life for me. So I don't understand this question really. This is what I eat, organic all the time. I mean, it's easy in this area.
Grégoire, is everything non-GMO just organic, or depending? Sometimes you try for that, but sometimes there's products that aren't organic.
I go in the way that if the product is not right, I won't use it. Okay, nice. So if I get a product that's organic and it doesn't taste good, and a product is non-organic but treated right with no, I'll use that product. It happened that at the beginning when my farmer was bringing me some butternut squash. Oh my, they were not good at all. And I told him, I said, your butternut squash, they just don't taste good. You got to do something about it and I use a lot. I use about 3 or 4 cases a week of butternut squash. And he planted new butternut squash that tasted great. So I use this, so it's really easy to, talk to your vendor, your suppliers to get a better product,
They're open to that direct feedback.
Yes. As much as I can, or we can, it's just using really natural, organic, stuff that's not spoiled with human garbage.
Yeah, because it's a bit contentious. Like I just saw in the news 2 days ago, Mexico wants to ban GMO corn. And like Mexico is a huge importer of GMO corn produced in the Midwest. And it's just crazy that it's like the US won't just like let them do what they want, and that will drive the farmers to not use GMOs if that's what the consumers want, whether they're Mexican, American, wherever. But that definitely is the trend, and
that's true. So, and I think the quarterly menu change, it's a big deal for us. It really is a big deal, and so when I went around to try to think what is the best way to roll out this to the franchisee, and that's why we decided to do with the Culinary Hub, because it's much easier to train our team than to train every single franchisee around to do the preparations.
I think it's impossible to and still maintain the same level of control. It's been tried before, and there's a reason why. It's either you own everything like Chipotle or Sweet Greens and you just own everything, or you have franchise locations, but without the central controls, the quality is not going to be as good, and you're going to have to rely on Cisco and the big food providers.
Yeah, no, we do have local. We do have company. We don't use Cisco or anything. I could, but I have another company I've been with. I'm all about relationships, okay, and I've been with them for 20 years, basically. Nice. They got bought out 3 times since I'm with them, but now they're owned by Chef's Warehouse, and they have locations all over. So, but I don't use much things. Just oil and flour, and so I can it's pretty good. We're going to rely more on local market. So
very cool. I'm sure that's something that gets you excited about your business.
Oh yeah, looking and talking, and like I said, my farmer, I've done business with him, with Grégoire, for 20 years. Now, I did business with them when I came to the US at Amelios. So we're talking about 35 years or so, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Same with the meat vendor, same deal. I did business with them 30 years ago, 35 years ago. And I stopped using them when I worked for the Ritz. And then when I opened Grégoire, I used them again, you know?
Yeah, those relationships, I mean, you can't, it's really difficult to scale, or if someone wants to do this themselves, I mean, there's a huge barrier to entry. Sourcing the products and getting good products at quality prices. I mean, unless you're really in the know with these relationships, it's nearly impossible.
So when we go to another market, it's going to be the same thing. You know, we will source out all, you go to farmers market, you go to talk to people, see, can you grow, with us? Because that's another deal. I mean, my farmer, I told him, I said, I'm going to have 20 or 30 store in the Bay Area. Yeah. Can you provide me cabbage for that many? Yeah. I mean, he brings 120 pounds of cabbage a week, 200 pounds of cabbage a week. So that time 30.
Now you need a ton of cabbage.
And he said, yeah, sure, no problem.
I mean, you're blessed being in California with your business, because there are so many options, and that's like the perfect hub to really, because the supply chain is going to be a lot easier with Salinas than the Central Coast, not even that far away, and so many produce.
Yes.
Grégoire, I've enjoyed our conversation today. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of this, whether it's a prospective franchisee, especially those looking for a franchise in the Bay Area, or even franchisors that, or if you have your business and you're thinking about franchising, you can see all the thought process that goes into doing it right before you offer the franchise. Any concluding thoughts you'd like to leave for our viewers on YouTube and those listening on our podcast channel?
Yeah, I love your podcast. I listen to it. It's a great podcast. I mean, everybody can get all the information they need from you guys. I mean, you just are the best. I don't miss one of them. Even if it's not in my field, I just love to listen to it. When it comes to the franchise, Grégoire, it's not really your typical franchise, I know, but it's a franchise that really involve and support the franchisee. Just because we're going to be so involved as a franchisor, making food, preparing food, delivering food to the franchisee, we're going to be next to the franchisee, holding their hand 24/7. Because we are 2 hours away. A phone call,
together.
A trip. I want to put someone in the Bay Area, the Bay Area Culinary Hub, to go around franchises to make sure everything is okay. So I'll be a person in charge just to do that and visit, making sure, the end product is great. I mean, it's not like a mystery shopper every 6 months and a phone call from corporate saying,
no, you're there to roll up your hands and help, which sadly a lot of franchise systems don't do that. It's more to collect the royalty, make sure, the mystery shopper, get them fine.
For me, it's just making sure that the world think a little different about what franchise could be, that the high-end product is not out of franchising. It is very possible. And that's my goal. My goal is to help franchisees they have to respect the food and they have to love the food. They don't need a culinary background, but it's for them to share goodness of great food that made by great people, not only culinary people, but people that produce the food, farmers and etc. So for me, it's just having the world just see it a little differently. That franchise is not just a McDonald's or a Taco Bell.
Exactly. Well said. Well, Grégoire, enchanté. Merci pour tout. It was awesome having you on.
Yes. Merci. Au revoir.
Au revoir.